Our focus today is on the global automobile industry and a company that is a leading automotive designer, manufacturer and supplier to OEMs and aftermarket customers all across the world. The US-based company has operations across more than 35 nations, including India, and has reported over $20 billion in revenue. Joining us right now to talk about the company's India strategy and the global sentiment for the auto industry at a time when there are tariff wars and a lot of uncertainty is Jim Voss, the global CEO of Tenneco. Jim, thank you very much for joining us here on the program. Let me begin by asking you what brings you to India and how bullish are you on India's prospects at this juncture?
Very good, very good. Parikshit, thank you so much for having me. And listen, I'm here in India in very exciting times. As you mentioned, there's many things going on in the auto industry. But for us, India is a key part of our past success, our current success, and certainly our future. So what brings me here to support Team Tenneco on the ground in India and to look at the tremendous opportunity we have here. At Tenneco, we have a very simple but straightforward purpose statement, and that's to be the world's most trusted partner to our OEM partners and customers, and most importantly, to be the best manufacturer and supplier, distributor of auto parts in the world, not just in India, but around the globe. And we're very, very excited about that. We've been doing business, Tenneco has been doing business in India since the 60s. We have 19 manufacturing facilities, 6, as you mentioned, aftermarket drive distribution centers, 3 engineering centers, technology centers, and over 12,000 employees. So India has been a huge part of our success, but even more importantly, I think a critical part as we move forward. So I'm just here to support the team and to continue to drive our strategic imperatives here in India, but also intentions to support the globe from India.
Is there a plan to expand your India business, invest more so that it can contribute not just more to domestic customers, but globally as well, export more from India?
Yes, it is. You know, when I think of just a macro strategy for India, I think of India for India and India for the rest of the world outside of India. India for India, of course, we've been here and we continue to invest, move more technologies that are needed for the very specific needs of India. So I think, you know, before we look at India for the rest of the world, we have to make sure, and we do have the right technologies to support the Indian growth, which is different than other parts of the world in some respects. But the second prong is, you know, we very much support the manufacturing growth for the world from an Indian perspective. And again, we are continuing to invest in our technology, our engineering, our manufacturing footprint. You know, as the world looks at having a reliable supply chain, a lot of the products coming from China, now some of our OEM partners are rethinking their strategy, as we are as well. And I think India is incredibly well positioned because of the cost basis, because of the world-class employees here, world-class technology. I think there's a lot of promise going forward for India.
You know, the China Plus One strategy and also the strategy to move away from China, that really began during Donald Trump's first term. Could you give us a sense as to how much in the last 10 years, how much of your business from China have you shifted to India in terms of manufacturing?
You know, I'm not going to give out specific numbers, but I think China continues to be a very strong producer of components for auto parts, no question. It's the world's largest car park and aftermarket. But as our OEM partners are rethinking their strategy and they're rethinking some of their supply chain issues, we are continuing to look at opportunities to invest in countries like India that have the growing infrastructure, great cost position as we move forward. So when we think about our longer range plan over the 5, 10 years and longer, I think India is incredibly well positioned to grow maybe more than its fair share with the auto industry and the component makers.
All right. I would also like to ask you about the tariffs that the US President Donald Trump has imposed on Canada and Mexico. And Canada has imposed retaliatory tariffs. China has also come out with some retaliatory tariffs. How do you think these tariff wars are going to impact the auto industry? Are you already seeing impact on your bottom line?
Really, we're not seeing any impact at the moment, but they're just being implemented now. As a matter of fact, this week, I think there's tariffs being imposed from Mexico and Canada from the United States. And of course, as you mentioned, not just worried about and keeping our eye on the tariffs, but the retaliatory tariffs. So there's no doubt, listen, we'll just have to see how this plays out, and how long they last will determine the effect. There's no doubt longer term, the price of the vehicles will go up for the consumer if the tariffs stay in place. However, I remain cautiously optimistic. But I will tell you, from a Tenneco perspective, we're very, very well positioned, irrespective of tariffs. We have almost 200 plants around the globe, as you mentioned earlier, in 35 countries. We produce in region. We have manufacturing, technology centers in every region. So we're poised for success, irrespective of the tariffs.
Right. How do you see the demand in the auto industry globally? I'm talking about from OEMs, from component makers. How would you describe the demand overall, the sentiment?
Listen, there was slower demand last year, and as we go into this year, that's no secret to anyone, and we see slower demand in China as well. However, from our perspective, we think there's really two prongs in terms of growth. Even as the electrification takes place for the light vehicle, and it's slower in some areas than others, where we still need advanced components for the internal combustion engine. As emission standards get more strict, we want more efficient vehicles. We still have to have technology in the internal combustion that's going to be around for a very, very long time. Also, as we see the growth in the electrification, we're going to have powertrain agnostic pieces that play a key role, like suspension, ride control, and the like. So again, the strength of Tenneco is we have a very, very complete and dynamic portfolio, not just for EV, not just for internal combustion, but agnostic to the powertrain. So while the volumes have been lighter the last couple of years, I see it going forward. It's going to be strengthening possibly as we go into next year. Either way, however, because of our portfolio, we're poised for success.
All right, you have a diverse portfolio and presence across the world in manufacturing as well. So you're able to diversify the risk to a great extent. But coming back to the issue of tariffs, as Donald Trump continues to impose tariffs on different countries, he has threatened to impose tariffs on India as well, on the auto industry as well. Do you expect this to have a negative impact on U.S. auto sector, including companies like yours?
I think that's very, very difficult to say, because it's very difficult to see how this plays out. Again, certainly tariffs could possibly increase the price of the automobile to the consumer. However, from a competitive perspective, if there's tariffs that are assigned to different countries and different places, it's going to be equal to all of us in terms of making components and to our OEMs. So then you're going to have to look at the strength of the portfolio and the diversity around the globe, and I think that's where we have a significant advantage, because we're in so many areas, because we produce locally for local consumptions for our OEM. I believe the tariffs are going to affect us less than our competition, and I think we're poised for success that way.
Right now, US and India are negotiating a trade deal. How do you think this could impact the auto industry, companies like yours who have significant business in both US and India?
Again, these tariff arrangements and negotiations are very complex. I don't necessarily have an opinion of how this is going to go, because it completely depends on the magnitude of the tariff and the length of time of the tariff. All we can do is stay focused on what we do, be the world's best manufacturer, and again, focus on the fact that a large part of our business, especially in India, we have over 19 manufacturing facilities in India, technology centers in India. So we're well positioned here, and we're well positioned to be able to weather the storm that may or may not come from the tariffs.
Right. What, according to you, needs to be done to give companies, global auto companies, more market access in India?
I think you have to be willing to invest and lean in. The Indian market is incredibly complex and robust. And I think because of some of the geopolitical concerns around the globe, I think it's actually poised to be a real hub for India outside of India. You know, manufacturing, taking the manufacturing excellence of India and using it kind of as a hub for growth. So I think you have to be willing to lean in, and we are at Tenneco. We continue to invest in manufacturing. We continue to bring in world-class technology, again, to meet the very specific needs of India, but also the specific needs of the globe, and take advantage of the world-class talent from the folks in the plants operating 24/7 all week long to the very skilled engineers and leaders. There's a tremendous amount of capability in India, and we're very excited about that going forward.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for joining us, giving your view on some very contentious and complicated issues around tariffs as well. The whole world, the Indian auto industry is watching very closely, and we want to see how much of the US auto industry will come and invest in manufacturing in India over the next 5 years as well. Thank you once again for being with us here on News Center.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
With that, we come to the end of this special broadcast. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.